Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to No Final Bell. Jason, Marty, and Bella the dog back here.
We
Number one.
got Tigger over here, but he's off camera.
Yeah. Um, yeah. We I know originally we did state that we were going to add Rebellion on the show, but unfortunately this week we are not going to have it. We are just going to be talking about ROH and AEW Dynamite
I,
and
I
Rampage.
don't have money for the pay-per-view. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
next week,
Yeah. He's broke. We're both broke, I
yeah,
guess.
I'm kind of broke, man.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
happens. Life happens. You get broke. So,
um.
but we do have our usual Tony Khan led podcast this week.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna start it off with Ring of Honor action. Um, Mark Briscoe took on Ari Davari and beat him. And after the match, the varsity athletes beat down Mark Briscoe. And you wonder, it's like, who's going to make the save for Mark Briscoe? Well, we got our answer in FTR. FTR coming out to make the save for Mark Briscoe.
I'm sorry, nothing against FTR with ROH, but like
Yeah,
I
it is
get
kind
it.
of
I
weird.
get it. They were former ROH tag champs, and anybody that's really signed with AEW can show up at ROH. I get that.
It
Why
is
wasn't
just
it not
weird.
the Lucha Brothers?
Yeah,
Because the Lucha Brothers are your current ROH World Tag Team champs.
right.
And
And they
nothing
have
against
more.
FTR being at ROH, but keep them synonymous to AEW
Yeah,
for
I
right
agree
now.
with that. I
Because
mean, because, like, not for nothing, I look at it this way because now that you have FTR as the AEW Tag Team Champions, and little, I guess we could say spoiler alert, but not really for New Japan. Um, Aussie Open are the, I guess you could say unified, but are they really unifying both titles? Either way, Aussie Open are IWGP and New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions.
hmm,
So they are two-time, with that win, they are two-time, at least I'm pretty sure they're two-time, New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions, but now they co-hold those titles with the IWGP. So,
hmm.
um, something tells me that FTR is going to run it back with Aussie Open, maybe at Forbidden Door, but this time for the New Japan Strong tag team titles.
Hmm.
Maybe.
We
But
shall see.
but they could also have Aussie Open putting both sets of tag team titles on the line. That's a very strong possibility, no pun intended. Um, but getting back on track with Ring of Honor, um, Eddie Kingston found out that he's been dealing with a hernia since September. He just now found out that it's a hernia, but he's been
Hmm.
dealing with it since September.
Right. Well,
And he will be out of action to get surgery and admits that Claudio was the better man at Supercard of Honor, which
yeah,
I guess you could say it's a bit
it's.
uncharacteristic of Eddie Kingston to admit defeat,
I mean, honestly,
but at the same time, it also shows a
Claudio.
new side of Eddie Kingston
I know.
because now Eddie Kingston, like, it, I mean, granted, it kind of took him a while,
Hmm.
but he's actually like humble and
Well,
being humbled.
yeah, yes, I will say yes. He did get
So,
very
I mean,
humbled.
because like not for nothing, it even we even saw that on. Now, granted, I don't watch it like weekly, but every now and then I'll see like highlights of like things that stuck out on AEW All Access, and one of those was I'm not sure if you guys remember when Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara had beef. like backstage beef. But basically, on one of the previous episodes of AEW All Access, Sammy Guevara confronted Eddie Kingston about the backstage beef. And Eddie Kingston was like, hey, dude, like, I don't know what happened. Like, it was just that day and, like, that moment that, like, set me off. And, like, hey, like, I respect you, brother. Like, I respect you. And, like, but when it comes to doing business in that ring, we got to do what we got to do. But I respect you, man. And so Sammy's like, we cool? And Eddie's like, yeah, man, we're cool. I don't know what happened. It was just some BS. So, and they squashed their beef.
Well, I mean, I will literally say that Claudio um, just beat the honesty into Eddie Kingston. He literally beat his ass in that
Yeah.
ring, and honestly, you're right, he did humble him. Um,
And no, we're not talking about the Iron Sheik. It'll break your back and make you humble.
well, the
No.
thing is about Eddie Kingston and Claudio is that they've had their
They've had a
differences.
rivalry for like 15 years.
But honestly, I will say that I'm grateful that Eddie Kingston has put the past aside from him.
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully he can come back stronger after this hernia surgery and whatnot, and um, maybe could challenge for the ROH World Title again. But there's other titles that he could go after in ROH and also in AEW. So I mean, even though he has
I was
stated
gonna
that
say, I look at it this
he's still
way.
under contract with
Yes,
AEW, even though he wrestles in ROH.
I will
So
say this. Who's to say we don't see Eddie Kingston versus MJF for the AEW
I
World
don't know how I
Championship? I
feel
mean,
about that.
granted, his obligations right now are to Ring of Honor Eddie Kingston,
Eh,
but I
honestly,
mean, he's still under contract with AEW, so who's to say, you know,
he could.
after this short little like, I don't know if he wants to make it a short term or a long term run with ROH, but either way, who's to say after his run is over with ROH, he doesn't just go back to AEW and he's like, "Hey, MJF, I'm tired of you always, talking your big game, but, well, you ain't never faced a game like me. Why don't you put that AEW World Championship on the line against me, brother?"
Right. Well, we'll see.
Or, well, I think for that he would look at MJF and be like, "Buddy, you can't live up, Max, you can't live up to me, partner." Or, I don't know what the promo battle would be between those two, but either way. Um, this next match, there's not really much to talk about. Sky Blue beats Kelly Madden. And then next in ring action, we have Darius Martin and Mike Bennett, which ends in a disqualification after Matt Taven attacked Darius. But then Action Andretti comes down to make the save for Darius, which builds an alliance of sorts for the two men.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, I have this later in the notes, but Darius and Action Andretti issue a challenge to the Kingdom, which has been answered, and they will be, competing this week on ROH. However, like we mentioned, next week is going to be Rebellion talk, so um, we'll be setting that aside for Rebellion ROH. But in the meantime, Wheeler Yuta beats Hot Sauce Tracy Williams by submission, which, yeah, so the submission that Wheeler Yuta used on Hot Sauce Tracy Williams was an inverted dragon sleeper where he had his hands behind his back. I don't know if you've seen at the time when he was Aleister Black use like that kind of dragon sleeper, but that's essentially the dragon sleeper that Wheeler Yuta used. Um, so I already talked about that. Next up, we had a tag team match of teacher and student in Katsuyori Shibata and Alex Coughlin. They took on the Workhorsemen, and Shibata and Alex Coughlin beat the Workhorsemen. And then after the match, Alex Coughlin seemingly challenges Shibata for the pure title.
Yeah, a student wants to beat the master for the Pure Wrestling Championship, but
Well,
the, the,
we all know how that went for Wheeler Yuta. I see the same thing happening for Alex Coughlin. Um, Next up, we had Willow Nightingale taking on Little Mean Kathleen. Another match of like, there's not really much to talk about there. Willow handily defeated Little Mean Kathleen. Um, but the one thing that I did want to mention was how Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman seemingly just do not care. And let me give you guys some context. On AEW Dark recently, Excalibur and Taz, uh, they were shooting on Riccaboni and Caprice about Willow Nightingale's like entrance and how they're like when Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman are on commentary for Willow's matches, they always do like the little raps to her theme song. Um, and Excalibur was like, you know what, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, you guys can go straight to hell. Like they are ripping off, and he looked right at Taz. He's like, they are ripping off your trademark, and Taz's like, whoa, 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 wait, what? You never told me about this. What's going on? And he's like, yeah, they're like rapping up, and Taz is like, oh, that's sacrilegious. And so, but meanwhile, on Ring of Honor, you hear Ian Riccaboni. He's like, "Dan in the sand, it is Willow time. I got the Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman. I got the rhymes or whatever, and because it's Willow time." And like they're just doing the rap, so they don't care. Not to mention they started the beef on Twitter, and to which I was like, "Hey, Excalibur, you've got to watch out for that Ian Riccaboni elbow drop or splash or whatever it was, because many people don't know this, but Ian Riccaboni, along with Excalibur, has had like has been in the ring, and there's a clip going around. There's a clip somewhere. I think I seen it on Twitter or YouTube of Ian Riccaboni hitting, like I said, either like an elbow drop or a splash or one of those, and he did it relatively well. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, Ian Riccaboni versus Excalibur, when? But either way, next up, Stu Grayson took on Tony Nese, and Stu Grayson beat Tony Nese. But then after the match, the Righteous come out and they have their eyes set on a feud with Dark Water. Which, can we talk about the Righteous, their entrance music? Like, it's one of those songs that's like kind of weird, but like kind of catchy in a way. I mean, all it is like a little, I don't know if it's a banjo or what, but it's like that bow, bow, bow. It's like it instantly makes you go, oh, business is about to pick up. But so we have the second to last match. It was a proving ground match, which basically meant that if the so it was between Ashley D'Amboise and Athena, and basically if Ashley D'Amboise got a victory over Athena, she could then challenge for the Ring of Honor Women's World Title.
mm-hmm.
Kind of like a World Title Eliminator match in AEW. But as these things go, usually Athena beat Ashley D'Amboise, and after the match, throws D'Amboise out of the ring. But then during Ashley D'Amboise's interview time with Lexi Nair, Athena beat her down and was
She
basically
wants.
like, this is the competition you give me? All these porcelain brides, all these, all these porcelain hussies, and like, bamboo Barbies, like kind of thing. And she's like, hey, Lexi, you better watch yourself because if you keep feeding me this, you're next, kind of thing. And after that, she looks at Ashley D'Amboise and she's like, welcome to Ring of Honor, bitch.
Yeah, she
Um,
wants a better competition. Honestly, I think that's time.
but the way I look at it is like, it's Ring of Honor. Who are you going to get that's better competition? I mean, it's
Who
not like
knows?
Taya Valkyrie's going to Ring of Honor and is like, hey, Athena, I see you got a belt. I'm the belt collector. Or I'm a belt collector of sorts. Let me take your title. Because, like, you know, Taya Valkyrie's already
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
honestly, if they do that and null everything that they're doing with Jake Cargill and Taya Valkyrie, I'm going to be kind of mad about it because then it would make honestly no
Yeah,
sense.
I was gonna say, like, because, they've got Taya stitched up with Jade Cargill there over the TBS title,
Hmm.
and it's like, you know, who else are you really gonna get that's a viable? And I mean this with like all due respect to the other, competitors that have come before Jade Cargill, but who else do you have that's gonna be a viable competitor to Jade besides Taya Valkyrie? I mean, her resume literally speaks for itself. Longest reigning knockouts champion, longest reigning Reina de Reinas champion. Like, but let's close out this Ring of Honor talk with the main event for the Ring of Honor World Title. Claudio Castagnoli taking on Metalik, and it was a pretty back and forth contest between the two, but ultimately Claudio got the win. He's still the Ring of Honor World Champion, and how much longer he's going to be World Champion, I don't know. And it really makes you wonder, like, who are they gonna feed to Claudio to beat him
Who
for the
knows?
world
Who
title?
really knows? Um, so before I really do go on with my AEW talk, it has been announced that Forbidden Door is sold
Sold
out
out.
in Toronto Scotiabank Arena, as well as 50,000 pre-saved tickets
Yes.
for All In
Yeah.
London, England, in the
Wembley
Wembley Stadium.
Stadium.
So
Yeah, so for
looks like
everybody that doubted
AEW.
AEW and the success, where are you at now? Let's hear that criticism now about AEW not lasting, like,
Look, it seems like AEW is back on the right track with selling out pay-per-views because for a little bit of
well,
time
okay,
there, they
no,
seemed like they were having trouble.
something that brings me to a really good point, actually. Where are all the people that said AEW wouldn't draw a dime without CM Punk?
Yeah,
There's no CM Punk, and they literally sold out Forbidden Door and got 50,000 pre-sale, not even on sale tickets for All in London at Wembley Stadium. So where are those people with those arguments about, oh, AEW will never draw a dime without CM Punk? Where are you? Where are you? Please tell me, because quite frankly, I'd love to debate with you.
right, exactly. Um, so now we're gonna get on to the first match of the night as Darby Allin faces off against Swerve Strickland. They have had a little bit of a rivalry going on. Darby wasn't, super, or Swerve wasn't super keen on Darby Allin Darby's not, super keen on Swerve Strickland, so they faced off against each other. Tell you what, Darby Allin is a freaking freight train. Just the way that he throws his body to Swerve Strickland, and then just the way that Swerve Strickland
Yeah.
just beat the
Well,
living crap out of him. And
here's an even more interesting part about everything. The week before, he wrestled at, what was it, Rampage? Or he was it Dynamite or Rampage?
well, I think
Well,
it was
either
the
way,
live edition of
yeah.
Rampage.
Okay, that's what it was. Either way, he had gotten in a car wreck literally hours before.
Well, it wasn't hours. It was the day before. It was on
Oh, okay.
Thursday
It
that
was the
he
day
got
before.
hit by a car, and then the day
Either
after he
way,
was wrestling.
either way, man got in a car wreck and still performed.
Well, I mean, apparently he got hit by
Yeah,
the car. I don't know
yeah.
if like he was physically hit by the car. I don't know what was really going
Either
on with
way,
that.
still performed the next day and took that brutal ass F10 from Ward or
Brian
wow from
Cage.
yeah no you're right, F10 is Wardlow, F5 is Brian Cage, my mistake. That brutal looking F5 from Brian Cage on the stage, like the
Hmm.
man's been through a lot of crap,
Yeah.
and then the very next week he's still doing the same exact thing.
I mean,
You
Brian
want to talk
Cage,
about a workhorse in AEW?
even in a match like this, Brian Cage and Prince Nana were trying to
Interfere.
interfere in this match as much as possible, but it wasn't enough. Darby Allin just finds ways to win. He's going to keep on winning these matches as he's heading into the main event of Double or Nothing for the Fatal 4-Way for the world title. It's going to happen. Now, the crazy thing I think about this, have you noticed with this Fatal 4-Way that these guys didn't have to go through a ring of challenges before facing MJF like other people have in the past?
I mean, I don't know if I would say that because I mean, look at Darby Allin. He's a perfect example of somebody that had to go
Yeah,
through like
but
a
it's
ringer
not
of.
it's not MGF himself that's like, oh, you have to go through all these guys before you get a title match against me. All three of you
Oh,
guys.
okay, yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm getting
I
at.
get what you're
That's what I'm
saying
getting
now.
at. These
Like
are kind
kind
of
of what
just
he did with like
these are kind
Bryan
of just
Danielson and Cody
matches.
Rhodes.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, these are kind of matches to like earn that title match that like to like go up in the rankings. Or well, even though there's no ranking
There's no
system
rankings
anymore,
anymore,
it just wins losses. Um,
but yeah, I do get what you're saying now. It's like yeah, because yeah, that is a good point actually. Because like I'm surprised MJF isn't like putting them through the ringer just to get this fatal 4-way match at Double or Nothing.
maybe he knows that these guys are on his kind of level, even though he doesn't want to admit it,
I
and that's
mean,
probably why.
they're the four pillars of AEW. Like, yeah, their like basically the name value or like the recognition, I should say, speaks for itself when it comes to.
Honestly, even if it is MJF that retains at Double or Nothing, it's gonna be very interesting if he is gonna go up against anybody from New Japan for the world title at Forbidden Door. I mean, who knows?
I
Or
mean, for all we know, he could go up against Okada.
that'd be something.
I mean, because at least for the time being, Okada is no longer the IWGP champion. That's Sonata.
Right.
So,
But yeah,
which I'm sure
ultimately,
Sonata will defend his title at Forbidden Door.
right. Ultimately, Darby Allin does beat Swerve Strickland. Even when Brian Cage and Prince Nana were trying to interfere in the match. And afterwards, out comes MGF. And then congratulations are in order for Darby after his match. Was very surprised that his daddy, I called him his daddy Sting, wasn't out there. It says they had a great match in 2021. It says he's the best person he went face to face with. That you know deadly headlock takeover is what he beat Darby with.
I
Uh,
remember that.
I can't remember if it was Darby that thinks he could take the title from him, or yeah, I think it was Darby thinks that he can take the title from him, and says he suffered like 30 concussions, um, and not
I
on
believe
the,
it.
and then MJF's like, you're not on the level of MGF, and Darby asks if MGF will be happy, says he helped, yeah, says, oh yeah, and then MJF asks, because he's so all about him that he's ever going to be happy because Darby stopped thinking just about himself and actually provided, uh,
Yeah,
helped his parents,
I mean, he
buy a
with his.
house
I was
and
gonna
his
say
loved
he mentioned
ones.
that with his first paycheck from AEW, he bought his parents a house. That's a very that's very classy of Darby. I mean, because you think about it, you get your first big paycheck. What are you gonna do? You're gonna buy your parents a house. So
So yeah, because he stopped caring about himself and cared about others. Darby says he wants MJF to keep talking if he has something to say. MJF calls Darby an arrogant little boy. And then MGF says he is sick of everyone crying and calls Darby a gutless coward. Says all that matters is the title, and
the
MGF will
Triple B,
do whatever it takes to remain champ. Says the legacy wants
the legacy he
he
wants.
wants to leave behind is greatest of all time, and Darby's legacy will be Sting's bitch. And now comes Sting and starts throwing pom poms at MGF.
He's got Sting got pom poms over.
And Sting promises to stop when MGF stops Cody Daycare.
Oh my God! When he said that and did the when is I I'll stop when you stop talking about Cody Daycare.
It says he had a support system, and
And I
that's
just love that moment when Darby and Sting are both like, he said Cody did. You said Cody, didn't I? I said Cody, didn't I?
and Surfer Sting had Ric Flair and thanks him for putting him on the map. It says he doesn't have a thirst for the world
Oh, okay.
title,
So you mentioned that. He said Surfer Sting had Ric Flair, and he's like, "Love you, Rick." He said Wolfpack Sting had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, to which he did the too sweet, and he's like, "Love you, Kevin. Love you, Scott." And he's like, "I might have a," and going off of recent actions, I might have a little Joker in me. And it's like, hey, Joker Sting.
and then
Oh yeah, he thanked Rick for putting him on the
and then
map.
it says he doesn't have a thirst for the world title, and says it's just
Showtime is just starting
starting
for.
for Darby,
He's like, yeah, Showtime might be over for me,
but it's
but
just
Showtime is just starting for Darby Allin.
and then Stick promises Darby to be the new world champ.
I mean, hey, if you're
That'd be
getting that much
something.
praise from Sting, it's gotta happen, right?
I mean, you
You
would
would think.
think, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to. I think MJF. It's too early for
Yeah,
MJF to lose that
well,
title. But then
I
again, I
don't
mean,
know. I mean, he
we'll
did win the
see.
title at Full Gear last year.
I mean, we'll see what happens if honestly, like, if maybe it's time for him to lose, or honestly, I think that MJF has done really well and been a decent champion. But I mean, if it was one of those three to take the title off of him, I mean, I just don't know how to feel. I don't know it. Like Darby Allin might be the only credible guy that can be a credible world champion, but the problem is that
Yeah, I was gonna say, and like, no disrespect to Sammy Guevara or Jungle Boy Jack Perry, I just don't see them as like main eventers and
right.
world champion. Like, and trust me, we've already seen that Sammy Guevara is not championship material, especially if he fucking hot potatoed that TNT title like three different damn times.
Speaking of the TNT title, Powerhouse Hobbs basically just squashes Silas Young in his
Poor
hometown.
Silas.
They retain the TNT Championship, and then Wardlow beats down Hobbs' car with a baseball bat and tips the car over with a forklift. Now comes Wardlow, and he and Powerhouse Hobbs starts beating each other up.
You know,
Down.
that reminds me, when I I ended up seeing a meme on Reddit about Wardlow operating the forklift, and it was like, oh, when OSHA sees that Wardlow didn't apply the parking brake when he was driving the forklift, they're just like, no. Yeah, because I noticed that too. It's like after he stepped out, the forklift kept going.
Oh,
He didn't apply the parking brake.
it's alright. And then out comes Warlow, and he and Powerhouse Hobbs start speeding each other down, and then Warlow beats down Aaron Solo and powerbombs him through the tables off the stage.
I mean, you gotta have the tables there
Tell ya.
anyways,
And
right? Because you don't want.
later tonight, it's going to be the TNT Championship match. I think it's a little too soon after
Oh
everything.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Between
I
Wardlow
get
and
it. Maybe you want to just probably have somebody else go after the whoever for the TNT title,
I
but
look at it this
I
way.
think you should have saved it for the pay-per-view.
I look at it this way. As long as they don't hot potato the TNT Championship again and give it to Wardlow a third damn time, because at this point, what are you, like? If that's the case, then what the hell are you even doing with Wardlow? That you can't think of anything else for him other than to put him in the TNT title picture and just basically like have him lose it within like a span of a few
Again,
days.
okay, here's what you do. You have Wardlow lose,
I agree.
which might derail. But
How well?
I say you have
Wait.
I say okay,
How do you figure it would derail his like momentum and his push?
I don't know because honestly, like with losing a championship, like you think, well,
Well, okay,
you would
yeah,
think,
the losing the championship part, but I mean like
okay, you're not
him
letting
in the
me get
chase.
you're not letting me get to my point. Okay, how it does it doesn't derail his momentum. He loses here, but I think what you need to do is have MJF retain at Double or Nothing,
Okay.
and then you build for Forbidden Door, not anybody from Japan for the AEW World Title. I think Wardlow and MJF need to fight each other for the World Championship. It's long time storytelling, and I think that Wardlow could be like, you know what, MJF,
I
you've
mean,
always needed me to fight your battles for you in the
yeah.
past. I want to see if you can be able to beat me without, anybody, you know.
Well, and that's the beauty of Forbidden Door. Also, is like while it is a uh, cross promotion pay per view with AEW and New Japan, you're right. It doesn't just have to be like for the AEW World Championship. I could absolutely see it being like an AEW, like it should be an AEW match ultimately for the AEW World Title.
Yeah.
And then,
See,
if you want to have
personally,
the IWGP
Tony
World
Khan,
Title,
why haven't you have had Wardlow going after MJF? I'm shocked that Wardlow wasn't his first opponent for the world title after winning it, because it would have made a lot more
well,
sense.
and ultimately, it feels like they kind of just like rushed to put that story to an end at what was it, Double or Nothing 22?
Something like that. But honestly,
Yeah, yeah.
I would be totally fine with them competing against each other for the world title. I mean, I get it. People are gonna probably be outraged and rail on their Twitterverse and be like, "What has Warlow done to deserve a world title opportunity?" Look, it's storytelling. It makes sense in the long run because
Like
Wardlow was basically MJF's bitch. He dropped him and
well,
everything like that.
with
And then
that,
once MJF went on his own and won the world title, then Wardlow could have been like, with all the crap that you've put me through, at least you could do is put that title on the line against me.
well,
Prove
and
that you know,
that's another thing too is like, um, people love to complain that like, oh, AEW doesn't do long-term story. I feel like with that, it's almost like the situation of like people just love to bash AEW, and it's like I look at it as like, why do you do that? Because it seems like you don't even give AEW a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just purposefully hate watch it.
Right. So going forward, Bullet Club, who is the
Bullet Club
members,
Gold,
Bullet Club Gold, who is,
Juice
Juice
Robinson and
Robinson.
Jay White,
Yes.
the Switchblade.
They're looking to take over AEW. Thoughts on that one? Honestly, I would be all for it. Honestly,
I'm calling it now.
I think that they should get opportunity at the AEW World Tag Team titles.
I'm calling it now. Forbidden Door 2, Bullet Club Civil War. Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson, possibly ELP, El Phantasmo, because he was kicked out of David Finley's Bullet Club. Who's to say El Phantasmo doesn't join up with Juice Robinson and Jay White in Bullet Club Gold? And then David Finley gets himself and two other Bullet Club stooges of his own. We have a little Bullet Club Civil War.
That might happen, honestly.
I think that's kind of what they're building towards, anyways. I mean, you
Which
know,
is
because New Japan. Well, see, that's the thing too. David Finley already recruited a new member to Bullet Club in Clark Connors, so it's very possible that
yes, the Clark Connors, the one that
yes,
faced
the
up,
same
wrestled in ROH.
yes, and the same one that was in that one match last year's Forbidden Door, and I think it was uh, the Fatal Four Way for the IWGP Heavyweight Title because I think it was Adam Cole, Okada, Jay White, and Clark Connors.
Like again,
Either
honestly,
way,
I would be all for them facing off, like both of them facing off at against FCR for those AEW World Tag Team titles. I think it would be cool. Um, I think they can take over AEW. Why not? I mean, I have a little AEW Bullet Club. Sure, Impact
I
has
mean,
their own version of
yeah.
Bullet Club, so why can't
Well,
AEW?
not to mention, uh, it kind of pertains to that, but also not really. I mean, ultimately, Tony Khan is just a huge like mark for pro wrestling, but there is actually a picture that has surfaced online of Tony Khan seen wearing a Bullet Club shirt. So he's pretty much always wanted his own version of Bullet Club.
I'm sure he has.
So I mean,
All right, so we go on to the next match: Orange Cassidy and Buddy Matthews.
oh yeah,
Now,
that was a very
it
good
was a
match.
good match. I mean, you really did think that maybe Buddy Matthews was actually going to get the one up on Orange Cassidy. There's so many 1-2 kickouts in this match. Orange Cassidy, his hand hurting him.
He beat Buddy Matthews with the mousetrap, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did. He had to roll him up. Couldn't get him with the orange punch, whatever he did. He couldn't get him with the
Well, okay. Speaking of Orange Cassidy, he was recently in Philadelphia defending his international championship against Gabriel Kidd for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's safe to say Orange Cassidy is taking that international championship everywhere.
which is fine.
And it might also mean that we get more Orange Cassidy in New Japan. Potentially. Which I'd be fine with. I mean, technically, Orange Cassidy is a member of Chaos. Technically.
I mean, I would be all for him defending the title at Forbidden Door, which it could happen too.
I don't really think there's a could about it. I think he will defend it at Forbidden Door, but against who? That's the real question.
We'll find out. Christian Cage says that some things had changed, but what could he mean by that? Probably the competition. I think what has changed is Luchasaurus. I think his look has changed. His attitude's probably changed. I think that's what's gonna mean. Um, as far as when Luchasaurus is going to come back, I have no idea.
It's interesting that you mention that because I think that's like the reason why we haven't really seen a lot of Luchasaurus in AEW. But it might also be because he was like nursing an injury, possibly. Um, I think what happened with Luchasaurus is he went down to like the Indies or whatever to possibly like. Well, that's the thing. AEW technically doesn't have a developmental, so I look at it as like, well, how would Luchasaurus have like developed his character more? There's really no AEW developmental unless you
Unless you
count
count dark,
ROH.
unless you count darker elevation. It's kind of like
Honestly, at this point, I think Dark Elevation is AEW's like developmental. But even then, I don't think I heard or seen anything about Luchasaurus performing on Dark Elevation. I
a.
think he's just ultimately been kept off TV to like further, uh, you know. But at the same time, I don't know. But either way,
Probably. So I mean, but then again, honestly, I would be all for Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, like kind of like teaming up, because there's not really much for like Christian Cage to do unless he's like his
yeah.
manager or tag team partner or something like that. So who knows? Um, so Ethan Page is pissed because nothing is going right for him and wants answers from Matt Hardy, and then says that Matt worked Ethan Page, and then he gets beaten down by, and then Matt Hardy gets beaten down by Big Bill and Lee Moriarty, and out comes Hook to level the playing field, but then gets beaten down, and then Jeff Hardy,
Yes.
we were not expecting it. Jeff Hardy returns and kicks some ass.
I think the bigger thing to what's the word I'm looking for? Make note of is the fact that Jeff Hardy didn't dance down to the ring before he made the save.
Oh
he
yeah,
just came down with a chair in hand. He meant business this time. He wasn't about to be like, oh yeah, no, hey, I'm back, yeah.
Yeah.
But
hopefully this is a different kind of Hardy, like a serious Hardy, like
yes.
like he means business. He's gonna be here and do what needs to be. I mean, he's looking damn good. I mean, honestly, hopefully, hopefully this time this is gonna be a serious Hardy that he's gonna mean business and just
here's the thing:
all business in WWE and everything.
We are not going
AEW.
to bring light to anybody that downplays Jeff Hardy. We're not bringing it to light. Because I have seen that on Twitter and Reddit of people that are still bringing up Jeff Hardy's past. It's like, can you not just appreciate the fact that we have this man back in a pro wrestling ring? He looks happy. He looks healthy, first and foremost. He looks healthy. And, he's basically just happy to be back in front of the fans.
Which is kind of crazy because this is the man that like a couple months
live his life, live his life.
This was the man that a couple months ago got pulled over, arrested for DUI.
Yeah.
Was looking horrible, but he was looking a lot better. So hopefully rehab actually kicked his ass this time and made him a better man. But honestly,
here's the thing.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I feel like Matt kind of ruined the surprise because if you look at the shirt,
he had
the Hardy's shirt. So I kind of figured like, maybe something was going down. Like, why would you come out with the Hardy's?
Yeah.
A new Hardy's.
A new Hardy's. Yeah. It wasn't even the old Hardy's T-shirt on AEW. It was a brand new Hardy's AEW shirt. It's like, Matt, like, how, you don't think that people are gonna pick up on this? Like, come on, man. You gotta outsmart the smarts.
I will say I would still like to see Isaiah Cassidy and the Hardys.
Yeah, and also
okay. So here, This is what I would be totally fine with. If you don't have the Hardys face off against FTR right away, at least have them face off against the House of Black for those World Trios Tag Team titles. Hardy Party
Yeah.
against the House of Black. Do it. Why
Well,
not?
see, and that's the thing too is because I was
Also,
wondering
also, what the hell has happened to
I was
Mark Quinn?
actually just gonna get to that. He's been dealing with an injury.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Like something had to be up.
yeah.
Okay,
Mark Quinn
makes
has been
sense.
out with injury.
So Kenny Omega claims there will be much worse to the Blackpool Combat Club when he sees them next thoughts. Not really much to talk about this because we are gonna. It's literally leading into the next thing. That's why I was like, I really didn't because Blackpool Combat Club beat Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler by referee stoppage, and then out comes Kenny Omega and wants to fight, and then the Young Bucks are back and super kick
Oh yeah,
uh,
there were
John
super kicks all
Moxley
around.
and
There were so many super
Claudio.
kicks that Steve Carino would have lost his damn mind.
And then as Omega was going to use the screwdriver, the Black Bull Combat Club retreat. Will this lead to a match of Double or Nothing? I
I
think
think
so.
it's safe to say, yeah.
The Elite and the Black Bull Combat Club are going to face off against each other at Double or Nothing, unless it's going to be sooner. But honestly, you have a little a little over a month away from the pay per view, which is um, May
May
28th.
20th. Yeah,
So
I was gonna say it's either
when
like
this
the
episode
27th or
airs, it'll be
28th.
19th. So honestly, you'll have a little over a month until the pay per view. So honestly, I would be totally fine with them leading into the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. Um, so yeah, why not? So I don't know. There's not really much to talk about. The next match as Ruby Soho and Tony Storm face off against Rio and Sky Blue. Ruby Soho and Tony Storm kind of beat up Rio and Sky Blue and beat them. And then beat down Riho after the match, and then out comes Jamie Hayter, and then she gets beaten down by the Outcast. And then Britt Baker helps out and beats down Saraya. Um, Safe to say that
She was about to hit the curb stomp on Saraya too, which more than likely would have, you know, spelled bad news for Saraya.
um, I don't know. Also, I don't know what this is going to lead into. I don't know if it's going to lead into like one of the Outcasts facing up against Jamie Hayter for the Women's World Championship or what. But ultimately, it is like we've seen Britt Baker and Saraya face off against each other. Like this whole rivalry is kind of like weird because like you've already seen it happen, but you haven't seen one of the Outcasts face against Jamie Hayter, even though technically Jamie Hayter beat Tony Storm for the Women's World Championship. And I swear, if it's going to be somehow Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter in a rematch for the title, I'm going to be like, really? Can I give it to Saraya? Like, she hasn't had any kind of title opportunity since debuting. You've given 20 million different title opportunities to Ruby Soho, and
Yeah.
all of them were total, losses and everything. So personally, I think the only one that would make sense to face off against Jamie Hayter for the title, maybe a Double or Nothing, would be Saraya. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the thing with that is you don't really want to rush into it, for one, and two, I think it's still kind of early to have Saraya take a loss, especially in a title match.
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't want Ruby Soho to get that kind of title match and then get another loss. Like that just
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have to take the like. What you could do is what you did at Revolution. Have another triple threat, so that way Ruby doesn't have to take the pin.
right. So we get on to the
But at the
main.
same time, um, didn't they already have the triple threat, and it was Tony Storm versus
Probably. I
Jamie
mean,
Hayter versus Ruby.
yeah,
And
something like that.
well, either way, like I said, you don't want and you don't want to run it back. So it's a tough situation.
Oh no, it's really tough with what's going on with that whole championship and
Yeah.
everything with that. So we're gonna get on to our main event here for Dynamite as Chris Jericho faces off against Keith Lee. It was a pretty back and forth, highly contested match. Um, Keith Lee not really doing a whole lot of his normal offense, but was definitely um, pounced into Chris Jericho there, and
Yeah.
Chris Jericho doing his lion salt, and then the springboard drop kick off the middle rope as he always usually does. But to the big surprise, he actually beat Keith Lee with the help of Swerve Strickland. And then
Yeah.
out comes Adam Cole to show respect to Keith Lee. Could this lead to a tag team match? Apparently, we're going to hear from Adam Cole later tonight, discussing everything with Chris Jericho. What it sounds like to me is that it's going to lead into a match of Double or Nothing between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, which, fine.
I
It's a
mean,
way to kind
yeah,
of get
but
Adam Cole
why?
up there. Personally, I hope this is going to eventually lead to Adam Cole getting a future world title opportunity.
I
I
mean, I
hope
would
Adam.
even be fine if he
Personally,
was like the international champion.
personally, I think I would be fine with Adam Cole taking the
Just
title,
being a champion in general.
just taking the title off of MJF.
I mean, I'd be okay with that too, but like, I think he kind of has to like work his way up there before. Like, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
he does, but I mean, like, what I mean by that is like maybe win
What better
like
way
the
to
international
eventually
championship before he.
right? And what better way
Because I
to
certainly
eventually
don't want him touch. Not to cut you off, sorry, but I certainly don't want Adam Cole touching the TNT title.
right?
That's for damn sure.
Um, I
It's
mean,
kind of sad that the international title is a better mid card championship than the TNT title.
I
Kind of
mean,
sad,
well, yeah.
but I mean, one mid card title has to stand out more than the other, I guess.
So, honestly, I'm really hoping that what better way for Adam Cole to work his way back up and beating um a former ROH and AEW World Champion. So
Yeah, that's such a crazy fact. Like, you know, if you would have told me like maybe 10 years ago that Chris Jericho would become Ring of Honor World Champion at some point, I probably would have looked at you and said you're crazy.
so we get on to the first match of Rampage as Aussie Open face off against the Best Friends. And
For the IWGP World Tag Team titles.
yeah, man, I mean, I guess this was a right back and forth contest, but then ultimately Aussie Open beats Best Friends to retain the IWGP World Tag Team titles. Um, FTR have announced they have re-signed for 4 more years and
Yes.
then plan on giving us everything they have until the wheels fall off.
Yeah. They're going to keep going for 4 more years, and after those 4 years in AEW slash ROH, maybe, slash New Japan, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
slash AAA, maybe. I mean, they can literally go anywhere out of those four. Because they've won championships in all four of those promotions. But either way, after those 4 years are up, they said they're ultimately just going to retire. And
Which is
honestly,
fine.
I'm like, yeah, because they've already done all that they could possibly do as a tag team in WWE. I mean, they've won the NXT title,
It just
tag team
sucks they
titles.
can't
They've won the.
team up with another guy and go after those World Trios tag team titles.
Hey, never say never.
True.
CMFTR, maybe.
I no, absolutely not.
I mean, but who else would they get? You know what I mean?
They can find somebody a lot better than that. Just saying.
Mm,
I know, but still. So yeah, Mark Briscoe, Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal beat a bunch of jobbers. There's not really much to
Yeah.
talk about that. Then Taya Valkyrie and Yami Sakura. What a hell of a match.
Oh yeah.
What a hell of a
Yeah.
back and forth, highly contested match between these two. Yami Sakura
So
is a true vet,
yeah,
like a 21-year veteran in
she's
the
been
ring.
around the game a long time. Let's just say that.
20, I
And
can't remember if it's 21 or 27. I think it was 21.
I mean, either way. Speaking of Emi Sakura, this is unrelated, but I think it happened on the last episode of I think it was Dark Elevation. Um, she had a match against Riho, and they paid tribute to a Joshi wrestling legend. Riho ended up doing the what is it called? The windy something or other. I've seen a clip of it. Basically, Riho, uh, while in midair and had Emi Sakura like pick her up, he twisted her body and did another cross body.
That's crazy.
So, which was a tribute to, like I said, a Joshi wrestling legend.
But ultimately, altogether, Taya Valkyrie beats Emi Sakura with the Road to Valhalla. Then Layla Gray tries
Jaded if you're Jade Cargill.
yeah. Then Layla Gray tries to beat down Valkyrie and gets the Road to Valhalla. Then Jade Cargill stands face to face with Taya, and then they beat each other down. And then Layla Gray helps out, and Jade Cargill gets jaded to Taya Valkyrie. Safe to say that I love the way that they're building this heading into Double or Nothing. I really do between these two. What better way to give Jade an actual legit opponent, and what better way to actually have? Um, I hope Taya takes the damn title off of her. What better way to have her lose at Double or Nothing? I mean,
Well, I mean, it would also be the ultimate slap in the face to Jade, in which like she lost to her own finisher, basically.
because nothing against Jade, but like you just gotta take the title off of her.
I
And
agree.
I get it. Fans might
Like I
might
can
see it as
see.
a bad thing because ultimately, like I look at it this way, like you take the title off of Jade, and then does it really derail her momentum? Does it keep her going? Because it would be a
Well,
first
yeah.
technical
I was gonna
loss in
say
AEW.
it's also ending her undefeated streak. So I mean, there's that added pressure.
I hope
But
there's still a way that like even with a loss here, I hope you can still like propel her to eventually going after the women's world title, and I've been
yeah,
saying it forever. Like I've been saying it. If she loses, you propel her to the women's world championship because the TBS title is technically like their secondary women's title.
Yeah.
Like even though it kind of seems like a mid card, women's mid card title, but again, honestly, I think you propel her to the world title picture after losing the TBS championship because you have young blood Jade Cargill and young blood Jamie Hayter, and you had them face off against each other for the women's world championship. I think that would be a good match. Why not? Yeah. So Jericho Appreciation Society tried to rap
yeah.
beforehand, and then they claimed come out and start their set. Oh, you know what? Forget the rap. They start going down and beating each other down after the JS rap, and then they run away and will face off later tonight on Dynamite. Yeah, we get the trios match between Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed against the Jericho Appreciation Society. So, honestly, ultimately, I am really hoping that Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed beat the Jericho Appreciation Society of Cool Hand.
Yeah, 2.0.
Yeah.
Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic.
And I like this hat, Jake Hager.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes. And then we got into our main event of Dynamite. of Rampage. I mean, Jungle Boy Jack Perry faces off against Shawn Spears.
Yeah, and speaking of daddy, Shawn Spears just recently became a daddy.
Yes.
So gave birth to a baby boy with Cassie Lee.
Yes.
If I remember the name of it correctly, I believe it was Austin. I think Austin was the name of the baby. I could be wrong. Either way,
yeah.
you know, I'm pretty sure at one point, Shawn Spears was trying to get like a daddy Spears chant over or something like that. He was on Twitter. He's like, "Can we get like a daddy Spears or something?" Like, he basically wanted to get like trending on Twitter. And I'm like,
Well, I mean, Shawn Spears was trying his darnest to really get under Jungle Boy Jack Perry to give him that loss heading into that world title match, but ultimately, no, it was not enough as Jungle Boy Jack Perry beats a returning Shawn Spears. Very interesting to see that Shawn Spears is still doing his 10 gimmick even after coming back from Daddy Time, but. Yeah. Ultimately, this is going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Thank you for the loyal support and the new subscribers. Hopefully, we can keep up the subscribe rate. So, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow us, and hit the bell notification to be notified for when videos come out, because that's the only way apparently YouTube notifies you, which is kind of stupid, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, please make sure to follow us at social media, Tinkle Sports, so you can catch up on everything that we talk about. Also follow us on there, as you know, we don't just have this channel. We also this podcast. We also have Sunday Morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. And we also have Out of Turn 4, even though I don't think there was an episode this week. I don't know what's truly going on. Of course, we're recording on Tuesday. This is uploading on Wednesday. As of now, I'm pretty sure Out of Turn 4 is going to be a different day this week. I don't know. Anybody that's into that, hopefully Brian gives a reason why he didn't this week, but he usually does. He's usually pretty good about it. But also make sure to watch Sunday Morning Tinkle, as we talk about new NFL helmets and everything like that. Baseball season and everything like that. Of course, you want to continue watching Sunday Morning Tinkle as we're getting into the NFL draft. Keep on watching this show as we're on the road to Double or Nothing, and then slowly also Forbidden Door, which we will be there. We may give some live reactions maybe on social media, something like that, like going live beforehand, atmosphere, maybe going live afterwards to say tell about the experience of being in the AEW pay-per-view for the first time. So who knows? Well, surely also give you a reaction of being in a sold out pay-per-view for the first time, I should say, even though we were there for Bound for Glory. Was kind of
it was sold out, but it wasn't really like the same kind of like.
Was it sold out? I didn't feel like it was sold out.
It was sold out.
It was sold out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it didn't feel like it was.
Yeah, I know.
It is what it is.
For those Impact shows, it doesn't feel like it's sold out, but they are.
All right, but yeah, as always, we will catch you in the next video, everybody. Goodbye, everyone.